Hello and welcome to the Neverwinter Nights live stream here at Beamdog. This is something that we're going to be doing weekly from now on. We're going to be talking about Neverwinter Nights. We're going to be talking about Baldur's Gate, the other Infinity Engine games. So tune in every 12:30 PST to Twitch on Beamdog, and you will learn what we are up to.
And by 12:30 PST, he actually means 12:30 MST.
That's what I meant.
That's what he means. Those darn time zones, they make things so hard sometimes.
What a great start. So anyways, today we're talking about Neverwinter Nights. So if you haven't heard already, Beamdog is releasing Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition. So Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition is a re-release of the classic game that you know and love, but it's full of all sorts of awesome improvements, new visual upgrades, the multiplayer was restored, and this is going to be a project that we keep working on continuously into the future. So Neverwinter Nights is alive again, and we are producing awesome content for it.
I think one of the big things to kind of call out with the Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition is we're available for pre-order on Beamdog. We are available for wish listing on Steam. And the key thing about the pre-release that we're doing a limited beta through the Beamdog site right now. We wanted to roll this out really early to the fans and to the community so people could poke the game and help us to make it even better. We have ideas on how to make Neverwinter experience bigger and better, and we really want people's feedback. So go to the Beamdog forums. There is a Neverwinter page there. That is the place where the discussion happens.
So if you pre-order on Beamdog, you'll get access to our Head Start program, which is essentially a beta that we're using to help guide the direction of Neverwinter Nights going into the future. This game is going to be driven by the community, so we need your input regarding what features you'd like to see, what improvements you'd like to see, that sort of thing. So as Trent mentioned, please go to the Beamdog forums. That's where we have a Neverwinter section set up. And the things we're looking for is just everything that you care about in Neverwinter, or everything that you've ever wanted to see. Let's just get it out there. The community will discuss it. We're primarily focused right now on improving the modability of the game, exposing more functions of the game to people who are creating content, and letting modders create more visually fantastic creatures and environments.
So Phil, one of the things I wanted to ask you about was Head Start. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about this kind of Head Start program. What is Head Start?
So as I was saying, Head Start is essentially a beta program, and you get access to it once you've pre-ordered on Beamdog. So if you take a look at my desktop here, if you go to the Beamdog website once you've purchased Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition, if you go to the Games tab at the top, head on down to Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition and check out Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition Head Start. Once you're on this page, if you're logged into Beamdog, you'll be able to add it to your account. Then after it's added to your account, you can go into the Beamdog client. You'll see Neverwinter Nights there, and then in this drop down here, you can get access to the Head Start. And in there, you're going to see a continual stream of improvements. Every week, we're pushing out a patch that has all sorts of cool new stuff. And speaking of that, some upcoming features that are coming in Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition.
So wait, you're going to do a patch every week?
Well, like, you know, a regular patch.
A regular patch.
Sometimes it'll take a little bit longer because we got more stuff going into it, but this is a live project. You're going to see Head Start updates.
So the goal is to ship something, to post builds that are not breaking things horribly, but at the same time marching the code base forward.
So one of the cool features that's coming up in the very near future is the ability to color swap on individual pieces of equipment and individual limbs. So if you take a look at my desktop here, you can see one of our tests in progress here. She's got this sort of clown suit is one way to put it, I guess, but I'm sure the modders can make something a little better looking. But the nice thing about this is that now you have a lot more flexibility regarding how you construct costumes, the look of things, et cetera, et cetera. Another extremely requested feature is the ability to hide pieces of equipment on your character while they're still equipped. So in a lot of games, for example, you want the ability to hide your cloak or to hide your helmet because, hey, I made this beautiful looking character. I don't want them hidden beneath the pot. So that's a feature that's going to be rolled out to the Enhanced Edition as well. And coming soon, but not in the next patch probably, is the ability to scale creatures. So this means that you can take a dragon and you could scale it down to the size of a kitten and have a kitten-sized dragon following you around.
I don't know if you want to push it that far, man. you're painting a very big picture
I'm
there.
just saying what everyone's thinking. You know, kitten dragon.
I want kitten dragons.
Yeah.
Now, kitten dragons is an appealing concept, but I don't know why you would want to do such a thing.
Another question we've had is what stores is this going to be available for? And as we mentioned, right now it's available to pre-order on Beamdog, and it's available to wishlist on Steam. Before the release of Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition, it's going to show up on GOG and potentially a few other stores. So stay tuned for more information regarding that.
And one of the things we want to call out is if you buy into the Beamdog Head Start program by pre-ordering the game on Beamdog, and down the road when it releases on Steam, you want a Steam key, you'll be able to do that. Just contact us, ask for a Steam key, we'll provide it.
Yep.
But at the same time, we'll disable the copy on Beamdog. So you don't get a free copy on Steam, you get a copy on Beamdog or a copy on Steam, your choice.
So now one of the important questions that we've been asked about this game is, would we want to fight 1,000 kitten-sized dragons or one dragon-sized kitten? And I can honestly say that it would be the kitten-sized dragons, because a dragon-sized kitten, like, you're going to die. You understand that a dragon is large, right? And cats have claws.
I disagree. I think being the kitten, it's very easy to distract it, whereas dragons are more intelligent. So I would totally go for the dragon-sized kitten.
See, I'm sure you're thinking, well, I'll just throw something and the kitten will chase it. But you have to understand that the kitten is going to chase you because you're toy size.
See, I would throw you at the dragon kitten and run.
I believe that you could.
I believe I would do that. Sorry, Phil.
All right, so how about we give away some prizes? How about that?
We could do that.
All right.
We could definitely do some
Let's give away
prizes.
some T-shirts. So we've got this beautiful Neverwinter Nights
I
T-shirt.
don't know if you guys could see this, but here is the shirt. And on the back it has the Beamdog exclamation, which means you are now a quest giver for life. Mm-hmm. And that should anyone walk up to you and ask you for a quest, you must provide it. And you also must provide some kind of reward, but you don't have to necessarily stand around to provide said reward. You can run away at that point.
One of the issues we're seeing is people who have purchased the game, but when they try to get into the multiplayer, it's giving them some grief about a key. If you are one of those people that are having that issue, please contact support. We have a workaround that can fix that for you, but you'll need to get in contact with support at Beamdog. So please contact them, and they will help you out.
So our first winner of a T-shirt is Devil Oak.
Devil Oak.
Devil Oak.
Devil Lock?
Devil Lock. Devil Oak. I love arbitrarily pronouncing things. It just is so much fun.
Okay, the next name that gets posted, we're going to intentionally pronounce it in the worst possible way.
I'll leave that to you because I think your mispronunciation skills are way superior to mine.
Oh, we have a comment from the audience saying that I think Trent is a handsome man. I disagree.
I think Trent needs a shave. I think Trent has been too long without a shave.
Really? You want to talk about too long without a shave? I look like a mountain man who was beaten up by another mountain man and left for dead.
None of us can compare to Cameron.
That's
he
true.
is epic lumberjack at the moment.
I've started referring to my beard as the lesser Cam, but it hasn't caught on yet.
No.
All right, second winner of a T-shirt. Who do we got?
Let me see. Here is the T-shirt in question.
Oh, and by the way, you're all sharing this T-shirt. We've been giving away the same shirt.
Exactly.
You're going to have to work out a time-sharing program. Some of you who are sweatier than others might want to invest in some sort of undergarments.
Or laundering.
Or laundry.
Yeah. You know. So we'll send you the shirt, and we'll send you the address of the next person who's to get the shirt. We're mostly kidding. Mostly.
All right. The next winner is, and we said we were going to pronounce this very incorrectly, is
Big Pure Ba.
I would interpret that as Big Power Bus.
Big Power Bus. Big Power Boss.
Some would say Big Power Boss.
See, that's one that's actually pronounceable. That's rare. That's totally rare.
And do you think it's Big Power Boss or Big Power Boss?
Big Power Boss.
Big pause between each of them.
Of course. You got to pause. You got to do the Kirk. The right answer is to slowly space your words.
Don't give away the Star Trek game we're working on.
Dude, I try not to. Can't help myself.
All right. We're getting silly. Let's play some Neverwinter Nights.
You can definitely play some Neverwinter Nights.
So I'm going to just play some Neverwinter Nights here. I think Infinite Dungeons. I like Infinite Dungeons. I think that's a cool module.
So we got a question here. Can be expected better models for monster and NPC made entirely and not in geometric pieces? So my interpretation of that is, can I do a skin-based character, a complete skin-based character? We actually added support for that in Hordes of the Underdark. It just wasn't very elegant. It wasn't really there for characters to use easily. It's something we're definitely going to be rolling going forward. One of the problem areas we've got to deal with going forward is architecting the character system so that it works properly. So what you've got is this concept of, I've got a skin-based character, but I want to change their gear. So is the gear an overlay? Is the gear a replacement on that? So before skin-based characters roll entirely, it's something we've got to kind of sort out from the part-based standpoint. And I think one of the big things we really want to do on the art side is work with the community and work kind of building out better tools for making content, easier tools for modding the content, and being able to have really high quality content that can go into the game easily. Because when I look back on Neverwinter, I mean, there's some things in the initial release that we did a brilliant job with, and there's some things we did slightly less than brilliant job with. I think that comes with kind of blazing new frontiers and trying to push the graphics engine in new directions, but a lot of people weren't doing multi-part textures and overlays like we were doing back when Neverwinter shipped, whereas now it's actually a fairly common thing. So I think it'd be a real push to work with people in the community to kind of come up with a standard on how to make that high quality content. I got my ideas, but sometimes my ideas are pretty dark.
Which package should I select for my wizard?
Which package? Why, the biggest package you can, of course.
Evocation.
As if there's any other specialization.
Now let's customize this mother. He's got too strong of a jaw. He looks too tough.
Evoker Specialist Mage, aka Fireball Machine.
So tell me a little bit about how you built these characters, because these guys were built in a very different way from how I think games from like 2004 onward constructed them out of a single model, whereas with Neverwinter, these are all individual pieces.
So in Neverwinter Nights, the characters are built in what we call hierarchical mesh. So you've actually got a bunch of parts that are linked together. There's one kind of core skeleton that they all share, and it all starts with a root node. From the root, we connect the pelvis. The pelvis connects the two legs and the torso, and it chains out all the way down to the hands. So each component in that chain is a piece. Now the pieces can be there and visible, or they can be invisible. Like your character in the robe there, that's actually, the robe is dominating all the other pieces in your character. So it's not rendering the shoulders, it's not rendering the biceps, it's not rendering the lower arms. The robe is kind of covering everything and just rendering that one piece of mesh. So that's essentially a skin-based mesh in Neverwinter. That's how you do it. The problem is when you kick in a skin-based mesh like that, you lose that customizability for all the pieces. So that's kind of what I was talking about a few minutes ago, and how to retain the customization but allow for skin-based characters.
So how did you pull off the wavy hair and the wavy clothes? Because back in the day, that wasn't really a thing in RPGs, and Neverwinter kind of was a one-off that managed to do that.
So we called that technique dangly mesh, and what dangly mesh basically did is it was a per pixel, essentially manipulation in real time between frames. So it makes pixels in some ways kind of lazy. And the neat thing about, or not pixels, vertices, and at the same time the vertices are also kind of affected by a global wind. So there's a neat effect in Neverwinter when you go in and you shoot a fireball, especially if there's grass there, you'll see the grass kind of blow out in a circular pattern around where the fireball hits. So we can perturb the grass, we can perturb the dangly mesh, and it's actually pretty neat effect, but it's something I think we just kind of scratched the surface on. I'm really anxious to see where we can go going forward.
Get on them! Attack, I say!
There's a question. Can we have some phenotypes outside of large and normal? I want to play a skinny human. You know, originally we actually built skinny as well. But the difference between a skinny human and an elf was basically indistinguishable. So it was really hard to tell the difference. So we actually backed away on the skinny human. Ultimately, this all comes down to what character system we implement going forward. It's going to come down to skin-based mesh. How do we make it so we can put part swap and equipment swap? And then from there, how do we do thin versions, thicker versions, and so on? I think it's just going to be an art process, and then just generating the new art to kind of compensate for that. And one of the things I don't want to do is go back and redo all the original models that are there. I think the right answer is to go in and build new models going forward that just look better in the new process.
So we had a bit of a hiccup. The audio was too loud on the stream, so I had to go back and turn that down. So you get to watch me create a character again.
Again.
Because I forgot to save him.
Phil loves creating characters.
This character is a demi-Canadian, which is a race that I just came up with.
A demi-Canadian.
He will be with... Actually, no, let's go with Sorcerer, because Sorcerers are more fun.
They are.
He's going to be Chaotic Evil, of course.
Sorcerers get less spells, though, than a magic user do.
True, but they're incredibly charismatic, as you'll soon see as I min-max this guy up to 18.
Anything that isn't strength is pointless.
He's a sorcerer, man.
Still, 18 strength,
There
19
we go.
strength.
That's all I wanted.
He should be awesome.
I don't care if he's broken. I just want to be the most charismatic person in the room.
You can be as charismatic as you want.
And we're going to be an evoker again, and we're going to customize him. What did we have before? We had him in the bondage outfit, as was requested by the fans.
Bondage outfit?
Well, okay, bondage outfit, perhaps not a good way of putting it, but what would you call that?
I would call that racy.
Racy. I like it. All right, let's get it back in there. And let's make him...
You don't want to run the big chest tattoo?
All right, yeah, big chest tattoo. There we go. His colors will be green, because he loves nature, and purple, because he loves royalty.
Excellent. So we've got another question, which is, will you be using the Steam Workshop for modules and other custom content? Going forward, we're going to be adding Steam Workshop support. It's going to take a bit of time to roll it out, to do it properly. But we want to support our users where they are, and some people seem to really like Steam. And I think it's a good way to kind of shuttle files around with less hassle. So the answer is yes, eventually.
All right, let's play Infinite Dungeons. That took a really long time.
By let's play, you mean you. You will play Infinite Dungeons.
What is the story of Infinite Dungeons?
There's a dungeon, and it's infinite.
I believe it has something to do with Hallister Blackcloak, the mad mage who lives below Waterdeep in Undermountain.
Me and Hallister were tight. We're tight.
Yeah?
Yep.
He sent you Christmas cards every year? And they were just insane scrawlings.
Either that or I got a nephew who does that. One of the two.
Will there be a physical collector's edition like Siege of Dragonspear with the content of the digital deluxe version?
You know, that's a really good question. At the moment, we don't have a hard plan for it. I think it's one of those things, if the interest level is sufficient, we can definitely look at creating something. But with the Siege of Dragonspear Collector's Edition, we made a really a limited run of it. And we're starting to get down towards the bottom of it. So it's been a good success. That said, it was a lot of work. And as a smaller game studio, we typically have time to do one or two things one thing at a time. So collector's edition, right now it's not kind of top of the list, but as we go forward, if there's enough interest, it's something we can definitely look into.
So one of the cool things, and I think you were able to see it in the last stream, but I'll just highlight it again, is the depth of field shader that we've added. So as we were updating Neverwinter Nights visually, we quickly realized that any upgrades we do to textures or models would then quickly break the existing galaxy of user-created modules out there. So in any visual upgrades we have added, they've been things that can apply to any module without breaking things. And so depth of field is one of those things that very easily adds a little bit of extra niceness to the visuals without breaking anything.
We've done a bunch of experimenting with some different effects. Ambient occlusion was one we played with. We found that at larger displays, especially like a 4K display, ambient occlusion can crank the game down to a non-existent frame rate. It's one of the reasons we didn't kind of throw it in there for launch. It's one of those things we'll investigate a little more, see if we can come up with ideas on how to do it better.
What happens if we go out of business, Trent? What then? What happens to the master server?
That is a good question. Like, honestly, I think our kind of policy on the master server would be we would probably take the code and compile it, give it to somebody and say, here, run this thing for the community. It's something we haven't done the legal paperwork for, but ultimately I don't want to see the game break again. I mean, letting it die last time was a non-optimal solution. There was a question around races, if races are going to remain hard-coded or it'll be possible to add other races. Yeah, I haven't looked into it too much. Ultimately, it's going to come down to the dev team and the advisory group kind of laying out what our plans are. In many ways, wherever possible, we'll want to open things up so people can do new and exciting things. At the same time, we don't want to threaten kind of the D&D-ness of what we've got. So it's really a balance. It's a question of where we put in the effort. And the biggest guideline for us is just don't break everything. So if we can come up with a way to do features without breaking existing content, that's probably the direction we're going to go with it. Any chance of increasing the depth of field range?
I think that's something you can actually play with.
It's actually accessible as a kind of a command line option or through the console, so you can type it in and twiddle with it.
And you can control it through scripting actions as well. So if you have a cutscene where you need to very tightly control the depth of field, you can play with that as well.
Will the modules like Kingmaker, Infinite Dungeons, etc. be available in different languages, essentially subtitles or undertitles? That's something we haven't talked about too much. I believe the original ones were not translated, so that's something we can definitely think about. And I mean, it's going to be one of those things. If the demand's there, we'll put in the work, we'll spend the money, and we'll try to translate it to as many languages as we can. There's a question: is the community expansion pack (CEP) going to be a thing per default? You know, I don't know right now. I haven't talked in depth with a lot of people. I know the 169 incorporated a bunch of stuff, and we're staying very close to 169. So what was there in 169 will be there in the enhanced edition. If it wasn't in 169, it's something we're going to have to look at beyond that.
Will there be more UI scaling options?
Will there be more UI scaling options for resolutions 1080 and below? So right now, the UI is basically set up for a scale of 1x up to 1080p. And then beyond 1080 in terms of height, you can scale it 2x and you can scale it 3x for 4K. I really kind of view what we're doing with the UI right now as a middle ground, a step in the direction to, hey, let's not break it, but we've got some problems we've got to address, font readability, so on. I think down the road we'll look at kind of a bigger solution, a better solution, but there's a lot of UI in Neverwinter, and there's a lot of stuff to work on there. So it's something we don't want to go too far down that path without testing it and having the community poke it a lot.
Are we going to be moderating player content in any way, i.e. what's allowed to be on a persistent world, types of hack packs, overrides, models, etc.? I think we can say no.
Yeah, we're not going to moderate. So one of the things I'm really looking at is using Beamdog as a platform. So when you get the game on Beamdog, we'll kind of highlight what we think is cool in the game right now. And part of that will be persistent worlds or modules that are awesome. I think from a content standpoint, we'll be picking who we feature, and that's kind of the only lever we'll do on that.
So I think the example in mind is obviously Sinfar, the Neverwinter Nights server that's more adult-oriented in nature. We wouldn't feature them and say, "Hey, everybody, go to Sinfar," but we won't, have anything to say about what they decide to do.
Yeah, I think the philosophy is we're going to assume that 14-year-old people are going to come to the Beamdog site and are going to fire up the client, and we'll want to direct them at kind of age-appropriate stuff. Another question is, will there be a persistent world run by Beamdog that would be a good place to gather? I think we'll do experiments. We'll kick some stuff up. We'll host it. We may even put our name on it. We may not put our name on it. We may just be some rando server out there.
Look
hosted
for future live streams where we actually do set up a persistent world, and you guys can come and play with us during the live stream. That's something that we'll definitely be doing in the future.
And like one of the ideas I've seen that I really liked was the idea of almost creating like a persistent world starter kit. That's something I kind of want to collaborate with the community on. Let's build basically perfect world, persistent world 101. How do I make a persistent world? Okay, here's the guts. Here's the basic persistent world toolkit, and we can kick it up. Next question. Can we have a customizable user interface? We're looking into this. This is kind of a long burn thing. This may be years in the coming, but the Neverwinter UI, she needs some love. And we're just trying to figure out the best means to give it that loving. The other part, there was another part to that question, which was, Dan just deleted it, so I can't see. Will the game ever support normal maps? The answer is yes.
Yep.
It kind of uses a normal map on the water. It's kind of a weird sinusoidal thing that it used to do back with the fancy water that was built with GL shader extensions, which is the reason that Neverwinter Nights crashes on almost everything right now, the normal version. It's the shader extensions exploding when ATI cards or NVIDIA cards say, yeah, sure, I got those things that nobody cares about anymore, and it blows up. So we fixed all that with the Enhanced Edition. And the last part of that question, which Dan just deleted again. Undelete that, Dan. Can we expect premium modules in the future? We haven't really committed to anything, and we're not really ready to commit to anything publicly, but I think we're very interested in where Neverwinter can go. And I think the right process for us is to build new stuff, new art, and give that a framework to hang it off of. Sorry, Dan, I think we lost some questions there with my undoing and deleting and so on. Meanwhile, Phil is fighting away in the...
I'm really more role-playing right now. I've taken on the guise of one Hobe Nice Jobus, and he's a sorcerer, and he likes to buy things.
Why do you always do that, like, nickname thing? Nice.
It's fun. It's a fun little character addition.
Do you guys have plans for a newer campaign? I'm going to kind of go with the same answer as the last one. We think the right way to move Neverwinter Nights forward is by adding, not changing. So I think philosophically that's the direction we're going to go. As far as that leading to a newer campaign is a big word. It all comes down to what you kind of think when you say campaign. To me, a campaign is what I did in university over the course of 2 years, where I took a character from like level 8 all the way up to about 18. So campaign's big. We don't have any confirmed plans for new content, but it's a direction we're really interested in. We have another question. Will you guys make any future Neverwinter Nights merchandise available for purchase? Merchandise is one of those things that just never goes away as a topic. We're always kind of talking back and forth, and Wizards of the Coast is really, I think they're cautious about not wanting to do low quality content, and they want to protect the brand, and we're chomping at the bit for it. So I think those discussions just have to happen. They're just going to take time, and I think eventually there will be some Dungeons and Dragons merch that's pretty awesome, whether it's the Wizards of the Coast guys doing it or whether we can actually contribute in some way.
How about we give away some prizes?
Somebody's asking, give away a digital deluxe, please. Okay, I think...
Well, you twisted our arm.
Digital deluxe, I've got nothing to hold up because it's all bits. I guess we
could hold up like a postcard. Hey, why don't you show off this book that we got from Wizards
Oh,
of the
wow.
Coast?
Yeah. So big shout out to our friends at Wizards of the Coast. They send us periodically a copy of a source book. We got Xanthar's Guide to Everything, which is actually pretty awesome. I'm flipping through it, and I'm like, ooh, I want that. Ooh, I want that too. It's actually a pretty awesome book, and as always with the Wizards of the Coast guys, amazing production values, brilliant art, high polish, well laid out. I mean, this book it's just gorgeous.
So Wizards of the Coast has really upped their game with 5th edition in terms of like the quality of the books. One of the cool things that they'll do for you that I only recently found out is if you have a 5th ed book and you're finding that the binding is starting to go from just using it a whole ton or whatever, they will replace it for you. So if you are jamming the hell out of that book because you love it so much and you're a little worried that it's getting tattered, let them know and they will do right by you.
I look at that. That is some awesome art. I mean, it's an owlbear, which I think Nathan Stewart has a real fondness for owlbears. He thinks they're pretty awesome. Here, I'll show it again. Can you see that, Dan? Is it showing up? Excellent. And there's some kind of little halfling wizard going nutso on the owlbear. Me, I'm all about that dwarf's axe. Love the axe. Totally love axes. I'm in an axe phase right now. I think that axes are the awesome.
Oh, believe me, I know. I should see the back of my head.
I periodically threaten Phil with axe death.
So it looks like we've got a winner of a digital deluxe version of Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition.
Okay, are we still doing the horrible mispronunciation thing?
No, because I think people were getting tired of that bit. Razin? You Razin?
I read that as you razzin.
You
as
razzin'
in
me,
you
bro?
razzin me.
Do you want to step to me? All right, you're Razin. You get a free copy. We've also got a question about the digital deluxe. If you buy the base version of Neverwinter Nights and then want the digital deluxe version later, can you upgrade? And the answer is yes, that will be possible in the near future. You will be able to buy the base version of the game and then upgrade to the awesome digital deluxe version if you so desire.
Yeah, and the digital deluxe right now is the base game plus the premium modules plus some new portraits plus the soundtrack. So it's actually a pretty big package. I think we totaled all the stuff up and it was like, hey, this is actually a decent discount on all this content. Question. As someone who ran a persistent world for a long time, will the scope of amount of players on one server stay true to the original? So I'm assuming that's the player cap, the 64 limit. So during the development of Neverwinter, we put that 64-bit cap in just because 64s are actually a really nice number. It's power of 2. It's just very geometric
nice
feeling.
Round number.
So I think we can increase that number. I think depending on the scope of the persistent world you run and the number of objects you have in the world, things start to come crashing down. It depends on how much content you have, how many things are running scripts. But this is one of the areas we think there's a lot of opportunity. We can sit down and diagnose where it's slow and think about ways to improve it. And I don't think it's near term, but I think long term into the horizon, this is where we can have some big wins, really doing analytics on Neverwinter servers and see where slow happens and then figure out how to remove the slow and jack those player numbers. Another question is, will things like the combat system be completely open to user scripting? The combat system is really tightly integrated into the code right now. So much so, part of it lives on the server side where all the rules and such determine, but part of it also lives on the client side in the network code. There's actually like specifications down to the millisecond on what's allowed and how many attacks per round have to be reserved and so on. So right now, combat is so crazy hard-coded, it's not funny. That said, we have some ideas going forward on how we can start to back that away. We'd actually done a prototype project using the Aurora engine internally that was never announced and never released here, that we sped up combat quite a bit by pretty much taking a sledgehammer to the existing combat system and crushing it into powder, and then from the remaining powder we kind of hacked together something that was very unstable but played very fast, and that's quite interesting. I see Phil is making friends.
I believe that I may have been a little low-leveled for this campaign.
I think.
But look at these guys have fun. They're killing each other. It looks like they're having a blast.
So Phil missed the important lesson of when people are fighting, don't get in the middle as a sorcerer with no armor.
Or any experience. I guess I could level up, actually. Let's try that instead.
Yeah. Next question is, there was any chance for an increased level cap? I know 40 is high, and most modules don't go anywhere near high, but I'd love to see it. We haven't even talked about that. I don't know. My philosophy on 40th level is at that point, your name is probably like Zeus or Ares or
The new Lord of Murder.
Thor, Ball. Insert one of the names there. Lolf. So I think it's something we can look at. I think we're going to run out of interesting things for high-level characters to do once we get beyond a certain point. But
That was kind of the problem with Baldur's Gate 2, where it was like, okay, you're basically god level. What can we really throw at you that isn't like, I guess you fight other gods?
yeah, the throwing a ball. I mean, we did the high-level HLAs, the high-level abilities, which was they were kind of, hey, let's try and sneak some third ed stuff into the second ed game. But I mean, there's options. There's always options. It's a data-driven system. We can add more data. Somebody said, dumb question. If you redeemed Head Start on Beamdog and you ask for a Steam key later at launch. Yes,
Yeah.
that's not a dumb question. Totally. You want to run it on Steam after the Head Start program's over? That's cool with us.
Yeah.
We're just restricting it to Beamdog so we can control it. And that when we break shit, we only have to fix it in one spot as opposed to chasing it around the internet trying to fix it on multiple sides.
Yeah, it's a fair amount of work to run a beta in multiple places, and so we've decided to keep our ambitions reasonable by keeping it to Beamdog.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned on the forums, a number of us would like to increase the total max resources in the module. It's currently around 16K. Can this be looked at? I think it's a number. I think anytime we hard-coded a number into the engine, it was based on kind of assumptions and understandings of the state of the union in 2002. It being 2017 now, I think a lot of those kind of assumptions have changed. I think we can look at those numbers. So I think the answer is, yeah, we can poke it. If we up it radically and shit explodes, we'll dial it back, but we can definitely try it.
I've heard a rumor that computers have slightly more video memory now than they did in 2003. Can you confirm that?
I believe that no one will ever need more than 64 megs of video memory.
I
That
believe
is-
no one will
that
need
is
16,000
insane.
objects.
No one will ever have 64 megs of video memory. I think the card in my computer right now has 8 gigs.
Like Neverwinter 2, will there possibly be an auto downloader? Well, what do you mean by that specifically?
I think I know this. So auto downloading, you mean I hook up to a module, it has a hack pack, it auto pulls my resources
okay.
that I require. So we've talked about this a fair amount internally, and it comes down to the question of hack packs and hack pack essentially continuity. Hack packs are the way that modders can essentially package up content specifically for their module. Now, the last thing we want to do is do a ton of data duplication where one hack pack references this model and another hack pack has the same model, and you wind up downloading 16 separate hack packs that all reference the same models. I mean, admittedly, hard drive space is cheap, and there are ways to run deduplication on files, but I think the answer is it's something we're interested in. Since Neverwinter 2 went kind of down that path, we can totally examine how they did it, and if people are willing to live with kind of the benefits and the warts that come with it, it's something we can definitely do. How many years do you plan to support Neverwinter Nights?
Well, how many years have we been supporting Baldur's Gate now? I think
We're
going
on
six.
well, we just passed 5 years from launch.
Yeah.
It was our 5th anniversary. So 5 years later, we're still patching Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition. As far as Neverwinter Nights, I mean, as long as we're able to, and I think part of that goal is to open things up as much as we can as we go forward, so that people can, even after we stop making hard code changes, people can still make changes in scripting or changes. And having worked with the people who built the Neverwinter Nights extender and seeing kind of the work that they did, and then with us working with them to essentially add in wedges and so on to actually make it easier to work with Neverwinter Extender, giving a lot more code access, a lot more ease of access into the game. Hopefully offloading some of the work from them. I think there's a lot of opportunities there, but in short, as long as we can. And I'm hoping that's a pretty long time.
One of the questions we had is Neverwinter Nights VR. All right, so this is a topic that I keep bringing up, and every time I bring it up, I get shouted at, people start hitting me, they throw eggs at me, it's ridiculous. I think it would be hilarious to add VR support to the game, but I don't think we have any official plans for it right now. If you can go out and buy like an additional 2 million VR headsets to raise that market, then yes.
Yeah, VR to me always ties back to camera, and I think Neverwinter camera is one of those areas where we're going to be exploring a bit, seeing where we can add value and reduce some of the challenges the current system has. So I think with camera comes new options.
I've been fined 1,000 gold for attacking the barkeep. This is ridiculous.
Just don't attack barkeeps, man. Pretty simple process.
If we keep talking about Neverwinter VR, I feel like Mark Brockington's just going to burst through the door and start hitting me.
And I'd probably be Jason, because Jason's responsible. And Jason's entirely too kind to punch people out.
That's true.
On a live stream, at least.
So
He's kind of a more ambush you in the back alley, so no one knows, so it doesn't threaten his niceness.
So speaking of the people working on Neverwinter Nights,
Yes.
did you talk about the advisory council yet? Have we gone into that? I know that in the last stream we had briefly talked about, hey, there is an advisory council for Neverwinter Nights, and these are sort of experienced modders who have been leaders in the community. They've come in to help us out. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so over a year ago when the Neverwinter Nights opportunity seemed to firm up and it looked like we were actually going to be able to do something, I kind of built a hit list of who's still active and who kind of were the big footprint people in the modding community. And I went after them with a sack. And I kidnapped one, I threw him in the sack, and then I held him captive for a short period of time until he gave me a few more names.
Is he joking?
And then
I can't tell.
I captured the next person and got some names from them. And we wound up recruiting a pretty good advisory group. And we have had them kind of under non-disclosure agreements for quite a while now. I don't want to just out everybody, but through the forums, we'll be revealing, if the people want to be revealed, we'll reveal them as kind of our advisory board. If they want to remain anonymous, that's cool. I just didn't want to out everybody without their permission, but suffice to say, if they have a big footprint and they've worked with Neverwinter X, we've probably talked to them at some point. There's a question: is there a Trello board or proper roadmap for future plans anywhere? The answer is yes. There is a Trello board, but you can't see it right now because we're still figuring it out. We've got so many opportunities and so many things to do on this that I think we're up to like major release 4 or 5 in terms of the plans. We haven't gone through and done a really good analysis on the costs and timelines on some of the features, so it's something we're going to be rolling out, but at this moment, it's not public. There's a comment: Neverwinter Nights augmented reality. I want a literal tabletop experience.
I want that too.
That actually might be kind of cool.
See? You're already getting on board with VR.
Oh, man, now I got to go track. Oh, you just created a bunch of work for me, man.
We can buy a HoloLens. Casey's over at BioWare right now.
So, next question. Anti-aliasing getting changed in the beta. There's currently an anti-aliasing option that's there. It's something that, I mean, when we converted the renderer over from fixed function pipeline to a shader-based system, it opened up a ton of things. We're really just starting to scratch the surface on what the potential is. And I can right now look at the guy who's going to be doing it and seeing him pensively gazing at his monitor, pondering the possibilities. Actually, I think he's working on a bug with the movie player.
Well, you got me killed with all this chatter. You distracted me and I died.
Phil, I've noticed a cycle with you. It's kind of similar to my cycle when I'm playing Grand Theft Auto. So I have about a 2-minute cycle in Grand Theft Auto where I find a car, I get in the car, within 2 minutes it's on its roof, it's on fire, and I'm searching for another car. Phil runs the same kind of concept with a character. Within 2 minutes, Phil has found someone, fought them, and died.
But see, it works because you get to come back to life for free. So I have the winning strategy here.
You're a sorcerer.
That's right.
Sorcerers fight from a distance.
I am fighting from a distance. Look at how far away I am.
You're improving your technique.
I fought from such a distance that my henchman died last time.
Next question. Will more shaders be added by Beamdog? The answer is yes. We are working on the shaders and the shader system, and we'll keep kind of poking on what's going forward. From a modding standpoint, this might be a bit of a challenge. If people start going in hard modding the shaders and we do an update, it might blow some stuff away. That's one of the reasons kind of for this whole Head Start program is the idea that let's kind of sort out the big advances we want to do, and then on a persistent world basis or a character basis, that's something that people can try to do, but be aware the kind of the more fundamental the changes you make, the more likely we're gonna have a collision between internal and private dev.
Will Druid and Shifter shape change still be true polymorphs, preventing implementation of feats like Natural Spell? That is a very deep question, and it's the kind that I appreciate the most. I don't have a good answer for you on that one, but if you put that in the forum, we can go over it and see if that's something we can implement.
Yeah, I think one of the key things to call out is that Phil and I are basically empty figureheads, and that our knowledge of the game is only so deep. By posting on the forums, you will actually get the eyes of the people who can make the changes and who can say, that thing you were requesting is madness, utter and complete madness. It leads to the end of the world, and here's how. Oh, yeah, I did that last night before I went home.
I'm on a different project. It's the Baldur's Gate high school dating simulator. So like Sarabach is your homeroom teacher. I died.
Phil died again.
While I was describing this fantastic
There's a
game.
question, will database access be available through NW Script without outside plugins? I don't know. I don't know that one. Again, I would encourage you to poke to the forums. I believe there was some discussion around it. I don't know if we made a hard decision that was in core or if that was a Neverwinter extender thing that we wanted to keep going there. We're really still working tightly with the community people to kind of figure out how do we keep the core experience pretty pure and make sure that we don't throw viruses or anything around and affect people's computers, but at the same time open up the possibilities for modding and for downloading single-player modules that have extensive mods.
We got a comment. You guys are really bringing back so much nostalgia that I couldn't be more happy.
We are literally bottled nostalgia.
Really? You couldn't be more happy? You wouldn't be happier if all this was happening and you had a beer in your hand? I question your statement.
So one of the things we probably haven't talked about much, we've been so focused on Neverwinter, is this is kind of more of a Beamdog stream. So we wanted to talk a bit about the Baldur's Gate 2, or Baldur's Gate 2.5 patch. So Phil, you want to kind of fill us in on 2.5?
For those of you who are curious about the Infinity Engine stuff, we have another patch series coming. So 2.5 is going to be largely geared towards fixing multiplayer, getting all of the versions compatible again. Because right now there's a bit of a disconnect between tablet and desktop, and we really don't like that. We would like to have all of the games in the same version. So this next iteration you're going to see is focused on bug fixing, just resolving any outstanding issues. It's not really a new feature patch so much as it is just making the experience better.
It's a stabilizing and harmonizing patch. We've really gone through, we found a couple core issues on multiplayer that managed to sneak through in some of the separate builds. And it's really that kind of reharmonization of all the games onto the same code base and same platform. Although Planescape still is a bit of a princess. It's off in a slight corner by itself.
We have had a lot of requests for information around Siege of Dragonspear on tablet. We will talk about more of that in the future. For right now, we're not going to say anything, but we have heard you. We understand that you want it, and we are looking into the matter.
There may be people typing code towards that end.
Our secrets are being let out the door. So the beta for Infinity Engine 2.5, this is hitting VG1, 2, and Icewind, is going to be available on Steam and also Android. So if you're on either of those platforms and you'd like to get involved, hit the forums, and you'll be informed as to when it's available. So please come check it out. It's going to be a really, really good patch. The last patch fixed a whole ton of leftover issues. This one is going to be awesome, and then after that, the game's going to be in a really, really, really good state.
I think your mind will blow if you saw the changelog, how many issues have been resolved and how many little things have been packaged up and cleaned up.
The thing that makes me the saddest about our work on the Infinity Engine is that we can't just show you the source code and just show you what we have had to do to keep this game alive in 2017.
Well, and I think Cam had this early philosophy that I'm going to ninja in, I'll make a little code change, I'll ninja out, no one will ever know I'm in the code base. 2 weeks later, he's like, I cut 300,000 lines of code.
Do you remember the movie Beverly Hills Ninja? with what's his face?
Farley.
Chris Farley, yeah. Maybe that's the ninja he was talking about.
I never saw that movie, and I think my life is better for it. But later on, a couple of years down the road, Cam and I were talking again, and he's like, when I said I cut 300,000 lines of code, I should have cut 500,000 because I could have made it so much better. And I mean, in the end, that's essentially what we've done. When you dig into the Infinity Engine code base, probably 70% of the code is new. We've revised so much of what the game was, the renderer, everything. And people are kind of like, oh, it doesn't look that different. Yeah, the old game had load screens. The Enhanced Edition insta-loads every area.
That is
You
true.
can zoom in and out. It looks gorgeous at high-resolution screens. It plays so much better. I mean, there's so many things we've done. It's I can't imagine not playing Enhanced Edition and going back to the old version.
So speaking of the enhanced editions, right now on Beamdog and Steam, there's that big sale,
Oh, yeah, I
the
forgot.
Thanksgiving sale. All of the games are on sale right now if you'd like to go
also
pick 'em
on
up.
tablets. We throw them
Also
up
on
on
tablets,
tablets,
yeah.
which is rare for us because we usually forget that those stores exist for sales. So
Getting a lot of great insight into the company here.
yeah, so it's time for another T-shirt. This is the Neverwinter T-shirt. We still have a couple of these left to give away, unlike the Planescape shirt, which I am rocking, which we have none of anymore, or they're in very limited supply. So the winner of the last T-shirt is a fellow named Wobin or Wobin. I'm going to go with Wobin because it sounds like Robin, but with a mispronunciation. It's Elmer Fudd.
That is true. So,
lo-
Wobin, congratulations.
Congratulations, Wobin.
So one last thing I wanted to go over. A couple last things, actually.
Couple last things?
Couple last things. We had an art contest on our forums recently for the Infinity Engine. So if you were a fan of any of the old school Baldur's Gate or Icewind Dale games, there was this awesome thread where all sorts of people were contributing incredible art, music, even animated sequences that retell, little bits of the game. So if you hop over to my desktop, you can see some of the entries here. I'm just going to scroll down and show off some of these really, really just amazing things that people have built for Baldur's Gate. If you're not on this list, I'm sorry that you didn't get in here. Don't blame me. I didn't create this page. I'll give you the address of the person that did, and you can get mad at them. Are we on my desktop now?
Yes.
All right. So first up, we have this awesome leather journal that this guy made. It's got the Throne of Baal logo. Very, very nice craftsmanship. Awesome Polish wording on the back. It's really, really cool.
leatherwork. The guy who did this. Do you make like knife sheaths and axe sheaths? Because I've been doing some blacksmithing and I could use something like that. We
So-
should talk.
We have some custom area artwork that somebody has built. This is by SFish, or S-Fish, I'm not sure. But it's this crumbling church sort of thing, and it looks really, really cool. He's got two different versions, actually. There's a daytime and a nighttime. You've got that sweet, sickly green light coming through, so very, very nice there. We have some incredible music, which I won't play right now, but if you check out the thread on the forums, you can see, sorry, I'm in the middle of breaking this survey here.
Phil's really good at breaking things.
This was one of my favorites. So somebody recreated the entire Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition map inside of Heroes of Might and Magic 3, and this is nuts. Like, this is insane.
That is insane.
I both respect this and fear it at the same time, because it's like somebody has a lot of time on their hands. They could have used it for evil. They used it for good. I'm happy about that.
I
A little scared.
think we all are. Ultimately, the right thing to do is to go to that thread in the forum and have a look at all of this art. Because, I mean, I had expectations of, yeah, that'd be some good stuff. There was a lot of great stuff in there. Like, just awesome work and like cartoons, everything.
This is a flyer that I have printed out and hand out on the streets outside of our office, just inviting people to play the Baldur's Gate series to try out the Black Pits. You've got ferocious wolverines, slithering basilisks, aggressive ankegs, and black bears. I mean, what's not to love? So this is a fun little handout. Here we've got Minsk chilling in the Unity engine, just surrounded by boxes of the enhanced editions.
So I think we're running out of time here, Phil. So one of the things we wanted to call out is we're going to try and do this live streaming thing every week. So the master plan is every Friday at this time we kick up. I might be here. I might not be here. Phil will mostly be here.
I have to be here, so
Unless Phil is incapacitated, at which point we will substitute another bag of meat for Phil.
Mhm.
And
So- I have a funny story about that after you're done the.
After I'm done my rant.
Yeah.
But so the moral of the story, every Friday at this time, we're going to be rolling in here. We'll do a stream, and Phil's going to head it. Sometime there'll be a guest. I am the guest of this week.
Oh, there's prizes every week.
There are prizes
We
every
are
week.
bribing our way to popularity by giving away pieces of clothing.
Doesn't everybody? Isn't that the truth of popularity? Popularity is bribery.
Actually, can you kick back over to the contest? I mean, we're done the stream for the most part, but I'm going to go through every entry here because I feel like these people deserve to have their work noticed. So
True. Best
go
way
back
is
up
to
here.
go to the thread so you can see all that content. But Phil will try and kind of do a
I'll add
speed run
color
here.
commentary. But so here's another piece of area art. Very, very awesome. One of the cool things about Baldur's Gate areas is that because they're 2D images, if you're proficient in Photoshop or whatever program you prefer, you can actually just sort of kit bash things together to create really good-looking maps. In fact, if you go way back in the day to when people were first modding Baldur's Gate, that's how most of the new dungeons were constructed. They would just take like Watcher's Keep or what's the place with Fearcrag? It's I'm going to get chewed out for not remembering.
Yeah, you
it's
should.
Windspear, the Windspear dungeon. That was a really handy one to chop up.
So one of the things I want to call out is early in the development of Baldur's Gate 1, because it was 2D art, you could actually paint almost anything. And the art team had actually built this Escher area where you could go up a hill, and then you could go up another hill, and then you could get to the bottom of the previous hill and go up. And it looked like you were perpetually going up. It was just this horrible visual artifact. So soon after that, we came up with this art review process on, so how do we fix the Escher effect, and how do we avoid that? And the answer was, don't do bad art. So Escher in Baldur's Gate is bad art. Escher by himself is perplexing.
Here we've got Watcher's Keep from Throne of Ball. In the game, you can actually see the entire tower of Watcher's Keep, but because you're at that isometric perspective, it's kind of hard to tell that, hey, this is a massive tower. And so this is kind of a cool perspective to see how truly large Watcher's Keep was. This is one of my favorites, an entire comic that retells a scene from Dragonspear, where Baloth is running a little crappy version of the Black Pits out in the woods. And so he's gathered all these refugees and commoners who are fleeing from the north, and he's like, hey guys, if you've got coin, Kadget's got fights.
Yeah, the low-rent Baloth the Entertainer fight promoter.
So this is a really good one. We got the Wolverine versus the Honey Badger. This is adorable squirrel. And it's hilarious.
I think Baloth may be over-marketing the Honey Badger and the Wolverine look a little less ferocious than I remember Honey Badgers and Wolverines.
Entry number 10, this is a picture of me as I am in my natural state, just wearing a winged helmet and flexing with some sickles.
I think he's overdone your mustache.
And he says my catchphrase. I'm always saying, you bunch of chumps, all the time.
You are.
It's true.
You are.
Another soundtrack, head over to SoundCloud. You can check these out. These are really, really good. People spend a lot of time with these, so please check them out. The final battle from Baldur's Gate. You got Sarevok hanging out in the Temple of Baal. We got Jaheira, we got Minsk, and I would assume this is the player character.
So it's the iconic party with a main player character that is wielding a two-hander.
I can only assume that Boo is hurtling towards Sarevok, but off-screen, because you can't have one without
Or
the other.
waiting on Minsk's back, ready to pounce.
This was a really good one. It's just Minsk in all of his brutal glory, and then also if you peek over here, we've got Boo hanging out in his shoulder, telling him where to aim for.
Boo's totally, he's on his war face.
With
That
a
is his
specific
war face.
sword from the game, the Sword of Grief. So
That is a very broad blade. I think that, probably 8 inches there? That may be difficult.
If you've ever wanted to let people know your affinity for the city of Athkatla on your wallet, there you go. Nice little logo here. So you were around the development of Baldur's Gate 2.
So I was actually part of the Baldur's Gate 1 team. I was the director of 3D art, I believe was my title, or head of the 3D art department, which meant that they needed somebody to look at the art that was going into the game and figure out how to make it better. And at the time, I was masquerading as an artist, so I was a logical choice.
When we first started doing the enhanced edition for Baldur's Gate 2, we had the logo, and I had always assumed that was Joaquin and another god whose name I can't recall. But apparently that might actually be Elazim. And this might be a representation of Irenicus.
Yeah.
But I never got official confirmation of that.
I think there is no official confirmation on that. I think there was a lot of interpretation involved.
Here's Imoen as a young girl. Adorable.
It is adorable.
Although the scar is kind of like, geez, what happened to her? Here we are leaving Candlekeep with the symbol of ball behind us. Very nice pencil strokes here. Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition intro scene. As you'll recall, you start Baldur's Gate 2 by being tortured by a BDSM wizard.
That is totally a James Olen story point.
Mm-hmm.
You awaken naked in a dungeon,
With a
being
man who is
tortured
nearly naked.
by a man wearing BDSM gear, and he's got a weird face. And he says bad things to you that cause you concern.
Now, what was your take on Irenicus's hat? Because I've seen people be like, well, clearly his skin is being stretched back like those guys from Star Trek Insurrection. I always thought that it was just like a really weird-looking helmet, but I could see how people might think that he's stretching it back. Like, he lost his immortality. He's trying to, maintain
He invented
an aura
John Irenicus invented the facelift.
That's
He
true.
totally was. He was the first functioning facelift on the planet.
I'm going to break the rules here and say free T-shirt to the first person who can tell the race that stretched their skin back in Insurrection. I know what it is. It starts with a B. And here we have the Throne of Balls.
So if you were ever interested in knowing secret things about Phil, Phil has an unhealthy Star Trek obsession.
Oh, man, I'm not even the worst. So my buddy, and I'm going to name shame him here, Dan Gunther, if you're out there, I know that you have a journal dedicated specifically to Star Trek, and I think it's awesome. This guy takes notes during new episodes of Star Trek Discovery, and I think it's great. That level of enthusiasm is crazy to me.
I think you and him are sad people.
He's actually a host on the Trek FM podcast, so if you track him down or if there's any overlap here, it is indeed the Baku, so whoever got that wins. I think it was Mark's the Cylon. All right,
Mark's
you get a
the Cylon.
free T-shirt
My
for knowing
God.
the Baku.
Not only is he an expert on Star Trek, but he also knows BSG.
You're getting a shirt not because you know, but because you suffered through Star Trek Insurrection with me. Another piece of great art, the Wyvern Hunter. This guy's getting owned. I'm sorry,
Yep.
but he's not coming back from this.
Yep. Anybody spear down the guts, spear down the throat, you're going down.
We got Nira. She's tearing up Nashkel, I think. That's where you meet
Nira
her.
was actually a lot of fun when we built her, and the voice actress for her, she was just charming and hilarious.
Nicola Elbro. She's out in Toronto. She's an actress.
Yeah.
So if you live there, check her
Nicola's awesome. We love working with her.
out. It's a lot of fun.
And Bailoth the Entertainer and Alveus Melcanter, both Mark Meir of Commander Shepard fame. Mark is hilarious. Like initially, we brought him in for the Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition to new content. We're like, yeah, so Mark, we brought you in to try out for this one character. So he tried out for the one character, and he did so well. We were like, it was pretty good, Mark. He's like, yeah, you got anything else? We're like, how's your goblins? He's like, my goblins are really good. And he goes off. I think by the end, we had him cast in 9 separate roles out of the 10 that he auditioned for. And the only reason we didn't cast him in 10 was we're like, this guy is going to be literally half of our cast. This would be bad.
Yeah, Mark. Recently, we did a game demo not too long ago that I'm going to tease you and not reveal any more details about. And we needed some VO for it, and we were like, well, we got like a stable of 5 or 6 local actors that we'll tap, and we get Mark in the booth, and he's just like, yeah, I can do all of it. And we're like, well, no, people will know it's your voice. And then he did it. And after we've showed the demo to people, and they're like, oh, this is great. What voice actors did you get? And we're like, every man that you heard in that entire demo is Mark Meir.
Yeah.
And then they're shocked and delighted.
Mark, like, I'm aware of how good Mark is as an actor, and it's just awesome. He's literally created a couple catchphrases in the office now that will never go. I'm aware.
One day you'll understand the story behind that one.
One day.
We got another cool piece here, the final battle from Siege of Dragonspear. I like this one because it's kind of a unique style from most fantasy BG or Forgotten Realms art that you'll see. Also, a little bit of a spoiler if you haven't played Siege of Dragonspear. There's the guy that you fight at the end.
There is a guy that you fight.
The Lady of Pain symbol. And the Lady of Pain's so cool.
It's the Blades things. I think the fact that she never speaks, that she's this
That's what makes her
enigmatic character, that makes her awesome.
If you make her speak, you ruin her character, really.
Yeah.
Everyone in Hair Dalise. It really depends on how you pronounce it. I've heard both.
I've heard Air Delise is kind of the definitive.
These guys look pretty cool. They're about to mess up some shadows. What else we got? We got Viconia in the Underdark. Not a person you want to meet in the Underdark.
I don't know about that.
I guess of all the drow that you could possibly meet, Viconia is probably the one that's least likely to put a knife in your throat, because she's a cleric and she can't wield,
Yeah.
bladed weapons.
You gotta love it when rules save you.
We've got Anna of the Shadows from Planescape Torment, one of Chris Avalon's favorite characters. That's got to be a pain, that sort of pauldron she's got going on.
It is a big pauldron.
Although shoulder checking somebody, that's going to leave a mark.
That would leave a mark. A big mark.
The ball spawn poster. Look at this guy. That's sinister looking. And all like point art too. Look at that. It must have taken forever. Dining here. Oh, this is one of my favorites. Look at this. This is crazy.
That is really good. And
My immediate response was, holy crap, this is Whitney Houston from Beyond Thunderdome. Like, she's got that sort of the blown out hair look.
that wasn't Whitney Houston, dude.
Who was it?
That was Tina Turner.
Well, I look like an ass, so I'm sorry. I apologize.
I think that looks 100 times better than Tina Turner, man.
I'm a jerk.
So, Viconia was actually, or not Viconia. Dynahair was the portrait for Dynahair was actually one of the people who worked at BioWare back in the day, Juliet, and it was a lot of fun. Early days, everybody kind of had their portraits. I of course was shy at the time. I was like, no, I don't want to be in a video game. But now in Siege of Dragonspear, I'm part of the composite that is Dorn. Although I think Dorn is character-wise totally based on me.
Another one of my favorites. I think this portrait's gorgeous. Just the paint style is beautiful. Very, very nice.
Yep. Did you hear that?
Cool poster for PST.
I think we're over time here.
We are very much over time.
I think things are going well.
This is another cool one. Very planescapey. Just gorgeous landscape. Icewind Dale is the final battle with Belhifet, and everybody's teaming up on him. Kalar Argent wants you to join the crusade. Very cool again. This one was hilarious. A live map of BG2. So just like little tiny illustrations. Very, very cool stuff. And let's see who we got here. Oh, okay, yeah. The stuffed avocado recipe.
Ballin'
The
stuffed
symbol of ball,
avocados.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
That's pretty awesome.
And then, there's the recipe in case you guys want it.
Yeah, somebody should totally make those.
We'll make this on stream sometime.
Yeah, I'm totally going to watch you hard-boil egg.
Hey, speaking of Fear Crag, there he is, looking over the Windspear Hills, which I remembered in time.
That is nice. That is nice.
Jahira with her summoned dire bear, Elistray.
What do I have to do to get a dire bear? I just want one.
You got to live out in the woods.
I would like go into a business negotiation. It's like, I would like to negotiate some points on this. They would say no. I would say, my bear, we'll call him Face Eater, would like to discuss this point with you.
We got another comic, All Bad Things Must Come to an End. This one stars Dorn and the player character from Baldur's Gate. Really cool stuff here. I'm really happy to see people embracing the Enhanced Edition characters and giving them a life of their own. Dorn actually came from Trent initially, because I think you were inspired by that guy from The Running Man.
Yeah, so there was this story of the Running Man where it was the Butcher of Bakersfield.
The movie The Running Man.
The movie The Running Man. The idea being that there was this guy who was immensely powerful, but he had this really bad reputation. So he was a real powerhouse, but people kind of hated you for hanging out with him. I just thought that was a cool concept, the Butcher of Bakersfield. So I wanted that concept with Dorn where you like him because he's really powerful, but at the same time, he's got a really bad rap. And anytime you talk to townsfolk, they're like, oh, you've got this horribly evil killing person in your party. I'm not sure about you.
I'm not going to show the video here, but check out this animatic that somebody did. It's a retelling of the scene where you escape from Irenicus' dungeon in BG2. Beautifully done. It's animated. It's really, really cool. Check it out.
So speaking of kind of all the art, one of our artists is out of the office right now. We just want to give a big shout out to Amy. We're thinking about you. And,
Get well soon.
We miss you. And
I miss your acerbic tone I need someone to spar with.
And I totally stole your space heater. It's in my office now. But supposedly Cam's bringing back my Bitcoin miners, so I can use those to warm my feet, and you can get your heater back.
Awesome picture of Gorion. We should make a game about Gorion. He's such a cool guy.
I remember when I first played Baldur's Gate, James asked me, so what did you think? And I just played the initial cutscene. I'm like, I don't really care about Gorion yet. I mean, there should have been some montages. We should have been raising puppies together. We should have gone on a fishing trip. Come on, you needed to build some more love there. I just met this dude on the stairs. He's like, come with me. It's important. And then we get ambushed, and he dies.
You don't need all that. Jim Cummings carries that performance. When you click on Gorion, he's like, my child, I have found you at last. That's all you need. That's all the backstory. Immediately, you're hooked into this guy, and you're like, I'm clearly his child.
Sorry, man.
He has found me at last.
Gorion is not my dad.
The stuff runs deep.
Not my dad.
This is one of my other favorites. Bellow Gulp and the Concoctor were in Dragon Spear. And so this is a Myconid version of the Concoctor.
Yeah, the Concoctor is a Myconid who can make potions, and we aren't going to question where he makes them from. But
so the Concoctor was also, and I don't know why this popped into my head, but so most of the VO in Baldur's Gate is like people putting on like British accents or something. And with Bellow Gulp and the Concoctor, we were like, well, what can we do that's a little different? So Bellow Gulp, the gnome that hangs out with the Concoctor, we gave him this sort of weird, like 1880s prospector sort of, how y'all doing? Pleased to meet you.
Yep.
Rasad, here's another one from the Enhanced Edition. Here's him and his brother. What was his brother named? It was Rasad and...
he had a name, yes.
Oh, this is embarrassing because I named him and I can't remember.
Yeah. By the way, Phil is Rasad. If there was any question, Phil is Rasad.
I have glow-in-the-dark tattoos, so don't get me near a black light.
Yeah.
Another Anna of the Shadows with
Mort. Gotta love that skull. Dan actually built a Mort skull for us for our Christmas party last year, and it was awesome. There are pictures in the interweb somewhere.
Those were all of the entries for the contest. But before we break here really quickly, I'm going to interrogate Trent regarding who's who here.
Oh, God.
So this one here, okay, middle left, that's Cam.
That is
Cameron, one of the founders of Beamdog right there.
Yes.
This was Mike Sass's wife.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also?
No, that was Dean's wife. I forget her name.
This is Dinah here. So this was the receptionist of Beamdog at the time.
That was Dinah here, yep. That is Juliet.
Who else we got? There's me.
There's
that's
you.
That's from the Enhanced Edition.
Yep.
This was Marcia.
Yep.
This was, I think,
It's Cameron's wife, or Cameron's sister.
Yeah. Who else we got? Oh, that was...
That's John Gallagher.
Yeah, that's Johnny G.
Johnny G.
Yep.
And Minsk is David Hebelm.
Yeah. Well, are you sure this wasn't you?
No, that's Mike Sass.
Okay, that's
Mike
Mike
Sass.
Sass.
Totally Mike Sass. And above him is Greg.
Yeah.
And Ajantis is Ray Musica.
Yeah. I think this one also is Marcia.
No. No, you're right. That one is
this
also
one is,
Marcia.
Yeah. I don't actually. Sorry, I don't know if the stream can see where my cursor is, so this might be really confusing.
It could be. He's randomly skipping around all over the place in a really confusing manner.
So aside from this one down here, which is me, all these shipped with the base game, and these were all Bioware people from back in the day. So if you didn't know that, fun little story.
How did you manage to get yourself inserted there?
I searched for Baldur's Gate 1
the brilliance that
portraits.
is Dorn is not in there.
I don't know why it's in there. Don't blame me.
I think Phil put that together, and then he
That's
deliberately
true.
went to it.
I have been ranking this, and it's on the Beamdog forums too.
Who was Edwin based on? We got a question there.
Oh, right,
Pop me up, Edwin. I think Edwin is Mark Holmes.
Oh, this is the custom.
It's going to depend on which iteration of Edwin we are discussing.
There's this Edwin.
That is Mark Holmes.
So Edward Norton Edwin.
Also known as Mark Taro Holmes. He's an artist. He was the art director on Neverwinter Nights. He is a brilliant artist. Does amazing stuff really fast. We had this kind of like work competition during Neverwinter where I would try to outwork him, and he won. He could totally outwork me. He beat me to work in the morning, and he left after I did at night. It was the most unhealthy competition I've ever done in my entire life, and it probably broke both of us as humans. But entertaining nonetheless.
Have we?
I think we are sufficiently
irritated these
over
people
time
enough?
that we
All
should.
right. So we ran a little long because we were talking about BG, and that's exciting stuff.
Yeah,
so,
and I got to roll out my old man stories, so I'm all about that.
That's what these live streams are about.
I'm
stories.
Captain Nostalgia.
All right, so we're going to wrap up. So please join us every Friday at 11:30 PST.
Correct.
And we will be broadcasting for about an hour every week, talking about Neverwinter for the most part, but also just general Beamdog news. So quick wrap up, Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition available for pre-order now on Beamdog. If you pre-order it there, you can get into our Head Start program where you'll get to play the game now, and you'll also get to give us a bunch of feedback for how you would like to drive the game moving forward.
Yeah, come to the official forums, Beamdog forums. That's where you'll see the Neverwinter. That's where we're going to be looking for the feedback. I occasionally will drop in on Twitter or on Facebook, but none of that gets seen by other humans who are actually typing code. So if you want a feature, don't tell it to me. Tell it to the forum, because the forum will actually be people who do work as opposed to me, who I just run around and
That's where the advisory council hangs out, so you'll get to talk to them directly. So that's what's going on with the Neverwinter. You can also wishlist the game on Steam if you prefer to get it there. Eventually, the game will be available on GOG. Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition is coming soon. It's currently in a pre-release state, but we encourage you to check it out.
Oh, yeah, we got asked by a bunch of people. It's like, when is it going to ship? And the answer is when it's done.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure it's a good release. It's solid. We're happy with it. And then we'll make a release that'll go out. The game will be launched. And then we're just going to keep working on it. Because we think Neverwinter is awesome. And I wanted to do this since I shipped the original. I'm kind of sad that we weren't able to do Neverwinter 2, that it went, that the money just wasn't there to do it, and it went to Obsidian, who I think the Obsidian guys did a brilliant job. And they went down a direction. I wanted to go a different direction, so I'm going to push Neverwinter 1, and we're going to go in the most interesting direction we possibly can.
Mm-hmm. So that's the story with Neverwinter. Please check it out. And as well, if you're interested in the Infinity Engine games, Baldur's Gate 2, and Icewind Dale are getting the 2.5 patch soon. There's going to be a beta on Steam and on Android as well. So if you're interested in that, please head to the forums again.
Oh, yeah, and all the games are on sale right now. And if you get the games on sale, when the patch comes out, you'll get the patch too.
There you go.
It's awesome.
Oh, and just a reminder, if you do buy Neverwinter Nights on Beamdog, you can also get it on Steam. So if you'd like to do that, please do. But other than that, I think we're done for today, and we will see you next Friday, folks. With Tukes. We're going to do it.